Death Star. That thing's operational.
Dr. Banner, now might be a really good time for you to get angry.
That's my secret, Captain. I'm always angry.
Hello and welcome to episode 155 of the Usual Podcast, a podcast where we discuss Star Wars: The Old Republic, the Star Wars franchise, and geek and pop culture. I'm your host, Marshall, and with me this week, in place of Will, is my good friend, Mr. John Skeen. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I am stoked to have you here, dude. It's been too long. We don't do this often enough, I think.
We don't. We had last summer together. We'll always have last summer.
I know. We'll always have last summer. Well, I'd like to get you on more often. Will, if you don't follow him on social media, is trekking back across the country to California, this time Southern California. So who knows when he'll be back, but John will be here maybe for this episode and maybe the next week probably. And, you know, when Will gets back, he gets back. But I always enjoy talking to you, my friend.
Well, thanks for having me on. Anytime you need me to fill in, I'm more than happy to. So.
Oh, yeah. It's always fun. And we're just sitting here enjoying our usual frosty beverages. I will start with you, sir. What are you drinking this evening?
Actually, I'm kind of going old school. I'm actually doing a nice bourbon from Kentucky, Woodford Reserve. So just kind of a nice way to mellow the night out. And how about you, sir?
I like that. I actually really like that reserve. My favorite, I like the, there's another one they do. Is it the Gentleman Jack? And then I think the same company don't they do Glenmorangie, that line of scotches?
They may. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Is it the Jack Daniels family? Is that it?
No, Woodford Reserve's its own brand.
Okay. I'm getting it mixed up.
No, you're fine. Yeah, my favorite's actually Angel's Envy, but I got to finish off with the Woodford Reserve before I tap into the Angel's Envy bottle. So
Nice. Yeah, no, I miss having scotch in the house. That reminds me, I should buy a ball of scotch.
There you go.
See?
There you go.
I knew this conversation would be good. No, I'm drinking a rare one, man. Sierra Nevada every year for a very short amount of time does Bigfoot barley wine. And I feel like in the past it's been like a higher percentage. Maybe I just always thought it was, but barley wines are usually like 9%. They can be like upwards of 12. This one's 9.6. And it's really a nice beer. It's you can get it in the 6-packs right now at Safeway, and I almost missed it, but I grabbed it. So I've got another one on deck, which I'll grab here when we switch over to the next part of the show. But I'm stoked to drink it. It's been a couple years since I've actually bought it, so it's good.
You can't beat a good barley wine.
No, definitely not. All right, so let's get into this. Before we get started, if you have comments or questions, you can find us at theusualpodcast.com. Email us at theusualpodcast@gmail.com. And you can find us on Facebook, Google+, Spotify, Pinterest, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. I am at Darth Pops on Twitter, and I didn't put John Skeen stuff in here, but you are at John R. Skeen, correct?
Correct.
Aha, I remembered. And we're on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Plex, and all that. So give us a positive rating, like us, and share it with your friends. We're going to have, I'm going to talk a little bit, remind me at the end of the show about San Diego Comic-Con, because I have a little update on that. But we are hoping, again, if you're going to be in the area, and you want to submit a shirt design for our Pucked 4 Cantina event, I'll talk about it more towards the end of the show, but definitely, do that. Send it to us, email it to us, and we'll go from there. I'm pretty stoked about this year, dude. So, well,
you should be. You should. It sounds like it's going to be an exciting time. I wish I could join you, but it sounds like it's going to be fun.
I know. I didn't want to bring it out because I'm like, oh, that's right, you can't go. But I didn't want to rub it in. But I got to talk about it, man.
No, please do. Please do. I'll live vicariously through you. So,
yes, indeed. And hopefully we'll be able to live stream it and stuff again this year. So I think that'll be good. All right. So we do have the timestamps in the show notes. If you're not a SWTOR fan, we're not going to spend a ton of time on SWTOR, but there's some stuff that's come up that is coming up in the next update, which we're going to talk about. And again, if you're in the chat room, thank you for being there and, chime in, chat with us. So real quick at the top of the show, as always, thanks to our drinking buddies. One of them is sitting far away from me, but I can see his face. Mr. Skeen, Eddie and Zen, of course. And thanks to everybody who is a patron. And I know we've been a little spotty in releasing shows and Patreon has been a little funky. So everybody who's stuck with us, we appreciate it. Please keep doing that. And we will give you a ton of content coming up. Like I said, we have new ideas for shows. And of course, San Diego Comic-Con's coming up and stuff as well. So
awesome.
They can hear us. Yay. What's up, guys? Welcome to the chat. All right, man. So let's start with Star Wars: The Old Republic.
You want to fight? I'm ready.
You do not have to stand against me. Instead, I will share all of this with you, if you will only kneel.
Well, there's a ton of stuff in the community that I have to highlight, dude. First of all, Swtorista, speaking of Comic-Con, man, I feel like I'm segueing so well already. Speaking of Comic-Con, I met Swtorista last year. She was at our Puck 3 Cantina, and she is absolutely amazing and an awesome person in the community, and does a ton of stuff for the community. So one thing she's doing, she put together a guild finder, which there is I think my link is bad, but you have to check her out on Twitter. She has a guild finder, so if you are looking for a guild, she has a nice way to help find other like-minded folks and find yourself a guild in SWTOR, which I think is super important. Having a community is a big reason why I know all these people.
Yeah, I would say I've made some closer friends through the SWTOR community than I have neighbors. So definitely check out guilds. That's the best way to meet people.
Yeah, and I agree. And a lot of people, and I was actually telling my buddy this, who I do my other podcast with, who's coming to San Diego this year. And he's like, oh man, all these people seem, cause he's in our Twitter chat and he says, all these people seem kind of cool. He texted me earlier and I said, yeah, excuse me. I said, I've been gaming with these people for years before I met them. Now this is what, the 4th or 5th year? Like we're all getting together and hanging out. And before we even started the puck stuff. So it's really, really good. And all that came out of, Unholy Alliance and Rookie Mistake, dude.
Yep.
All these years ago. So. Speaking of Swtorista, obviously we've been talking about this on every episode, but Star Wars Celebration is coming up, and she is doing the Star Wars the fan table for SWTOR and highlighting a lot of the guilds and content creators and all that kind of stuff. Sadly, I forgot and didn't contribute in time, so we're not on the little card she made, but at the same time, it is really cool what she's doing. So definitely if you're at Celebration, go by. And hopefully they're going to do a live stream and they have a lot of stuff planned. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, Musco and all of them are going to be there. And they're doing their Cantina event as well, which I have a link to in the show notes. Well, no, Musco is doing something else. He's actually going to be on a panel. That's what this is. Sorry, I got my things mixed up. But they are doing a Cantina event down there as well. But Eric Musco is on a panel on how to build and maintain online gaming communities. So definitely check that out if you're there.
Nice. So. And have they announced where they're holding the Cantina at yet?
Let me go back and take a look, because actually I have that in another spot. And then you can talk about your weekend games, sir. What have you been doing? It doesn't have to be SWTOR. Like I said, I have not been playing SWTOR much. I think you and I have been playing in the same game, but just not at the same time. So what have you been playing, buddy?
I have actually been playing Anthem. I had signed up, you and I had discussed that EA Access Premier, or Origin Access Premier, excuse me,
right.
And signed up through that. And I have just got through the first story part. Actually ended up and kind of got frustrated with the whole mouse and keyboard with that one. So I actually went and bought an Xbox controller and started using that instead. And I have found the flight and abilities a lot easier using that.
You're not the first person to say that. And honestly, that game does have a more console-like feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I might do the same thing. I don't know. I've gotten so used to the mouse and keyboard now, but it's nice to know that that's an option. So you're enjoying that much more then?
I found it a little bit easier. The flying, especially, it just seems I control it a lot better with that. And with the Access Premier, you can download quite a few other EA games. So like I downloaded FIFA 19, started playing that, and that's definitely more of a controller type game than mouse. So, but yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Anthem is a beautiful game. If you haven't checked it out,
it really is.
Yeah. So anybody that hasn't checked it, please check it out. But how about you? What'd you do in the game this week?
I like Anthem a lot. I think the only game I have played has been Anthem, and it's been for maybe an hour in the last couple of weeks. This is the busiest time of the year for me. I'm coaching. Stupidly, I took on another podcast, so I'm doing 2 shows now. And of course I teach full time and I work part time at night. So I am like just running around everywhere and stuff with the schools and my kids and stuff. So honestly, I have not gotten much game time in. After tonight, if we're not on here for too late, I actually would really like to play a video game, just sit down and do that for a little while. But I've been trying to get my writing done and doing a lot of other things. So all the gaming I've been doing, honestly, is Anthem, but I think the game is gorgeous. I have gotten used to, I have the macros and everything kind of set, not macros, but keybinds and stuff set up on my Razer Naga. So I'm enjoying that quite a bit. But it's gorgeous. I like the story. And I like the gameplay. It's a blast to fly through the freaking air and do cool stuff. Like, I don't know. I just really, really enjoy it. So, sadly, I haven't got that much time to do it, but, I would like to do more of that. And I need to go back to SWTOR. There's some stuff I really want to do. I want to finish off some of the newer content before we get some other stuff going. And I'd like to get a group together and do that new, Queen of the Hive Mind deal. So,
yeah, I would too. I have not done that yet either.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's some content that we haven't got to play yet, which is kind of exciting.
Yeah, and I think that's nice to know there's stuff I haven't done, considering a game I played for 7 years. So that's kind of cool. Neff, yeah, we really do need to do some What's an Ops group, man. I would love to bring that back. There was talk of doing one last run because a lot of people have left the game, and we talked about this about a month ago. But I think I would like to put together just, I don't know, just schedule it and just say, hey, if anybody wants to, live in the past like we do What's an Ops group every week, let's get together and do something this night. You know what I mean? But I think that might be more of a couple months from now version of myself. but yeah, man, I'm with you, Neff. I really do miss that. And let's do it. Whatever works for you guys. Let's do it in the next few weeks. I really want to make that happen. So I'm glad you guys are in there to kick my, oh yeah. And Arjar seconds it. Of course he does. Yes. I will do it. Let's do it. I can't wait.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. But to go back to what Scheme was saying about, Star Wars Celebration, it is happening. The Cantina event is at the Marriott Marquis Chicago Grand Ballroom. And that is Saturday the 13th. And that is my anniversary. So,
well, happy anniversary.
Yeah, thanks, dude. But yeah, so I wish I could be out there. I know a lot of people are going to be out there. So anybody that is and wants to come on the show and talk about it, I would love that.
Yeah, I got to see who else might be going. I know I talked to Will when he was in St. Louis to see if he wanted to go or not. So I may have to.
Are you making the trip?
It's only 3 hours from here, so it's not a bad drive.
Well, at least go for the Cantina and come back and report back. I talked to a couple other folks that are going up there. Of course, Swtorista and some other folks. I think Jesse's going. And so I know everybody's kind of gearing towards that. And I wish I could do a celebration one day. I think I'll have to wait a couple years when it comes back to the States. Cause I think, doesn't it go out of the country every other year?
Yeah. It like switches back and forth.
Yeah. So, not next year, but the year after, maybe I'll be geared up and ready to go. So that'd be cool. Oh, Neff says he thinks Mox is going. Oh, maybe. Yeah, I know there's a bunch of people from our community going, dude. So anybody that's going that wants to come on the show, I'd love to have a roundtable and talk about what you did. That'd be fun. So, all right. Shall we get to some news, my friend?
Absolutely.
Okay. There's some funny stuff in here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I just thought it was funny. Why does Lana have 4 different face models? And they try to explain this. And did you ever, you notice that she changed kind of over time, right?
Right.
It's just kind of funny. Somebody put in the imager and then they try to come back and talk about it. And they basically said, they tried to show the passage of time and some other stuff like that. I just think it's funny when the tech gets better and maybe they didn't spend a lot of time on the assets in the first place and they try to change it. Like of course people notice because we look at these characters for a while,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they had a plan in the very beginning to make her a companion of ours too. So that's a whole different thing. So anyway.
Well, and I think I had either read or heard something about they may have given her some touch-ups as far as facial features and, kind of smooth textures out and things like that. So once they did that, it may, even though it's the same design, it may have just made it look different. So
exactly. Oh yeah, Magic. I think Magic is going. Yeah, Arjar. Yeah, I think you're right. Magic's going too. I think to Celebration. I'm jealous, man. I really want to do that. We have a ton of cool Star Wars stuff to talk about later in the show. So stick around, guys. We're going to talk about Galaxy's Edge news that broke about a week or so ago. So hang in there. So there was some complaints about Hutt Ball type maps popping. Pops 2 out of 3, and I think this had to do with they're trying to explain how the matchmaking works and how the map selection works. I'm not going to go through all this. I don't even PvP, but I thought it was funny because when I do PvP, I'll freely admit I was one of those people when I used to PvP. When Hutt Ball came up, I dropped out.
Right. Yeah. When I first got in game, I kind of liked it, but then I was like, not anymore. I don't PvP very often either. So
I like Hutt Ball if I'm playing with a group of people and we all go in together and I don't have to have some random person hollering at me because I suck, because I do suck. And because I didn't pass the ball in time, they thought they should have got the ball and blah, blah. It's like, it's just too much stress. I just don't want to deal with Hutt Ball, honestly. I just want to play the game to relax, but PvP is not a relaxing activity. But if I'm with a group, I care a whole lot less, and Hutt Ball can be fun. But I don't like getting hollered at by people I don't know and or care what they think.
And there you go. And there you have it. I would say the only times I've ever been yelled at in game was during some type of a PvP thing. So,
Yeah, it's always PvP. Somebody was asking about the guild perks and how often they rotate. And I thought this was interesting. This was just a few days ago, actually. Somebody asked the precise day the guild perks rotate so they can plan their guild activities and stuff accordingly. And it says the perks rotate every other Tuesday at the strike of midnight. So when Monday crosses from 11:59 to Tuesday, that midnight timer is set to GMT. So that's it. And I don't know. I haven't gotten into the guild perks because our guild is kind of not a thing right now, but it'd be nice to know when those things switch over. I know back when we were doing conquests and stuff, that was something, you want to get it all done by a certain time so it all counts, right?
Right. Well, hopefully, but like I said, I haven't been in game here for, well over a month now. So, I haven't noticed. And when I have gamed, it's been, either super late at night when nobody on the guild was normally on anyways. But,
exactly.
We'll see what happens. I know it's still kind of, it's not active, but there's still people in it. So.
No, and I didn't want to say that the guild hasn't disbanded. We're just not doing any formal events and stuff anymore, but the guild's still there. My main is not in the guild because I switched over for that last event we did a while back. And every time I get on, I'm like, I don't see anybody. It's all very sad. Anyway. All right. So this is interesting. And actually, we're almost done with this, but, win trading came up again. And someone named Mike Bradley, who I'm not familiar with, he's listed as associate producer, on SWTOR. This was also a couple days ago. Somebody was asking about win trading, and he said, what they're trying to do is kind of be a little more. People were like, why don't people get permanent banned? Right. So I think they're going to be a little harsher going forward. Some of the things, they do issue permanent bans on players who cheat. They've been catching and banning, cheaters since the beginning of the game. And obviously people who bot and hack and stuff like that. They have systems that automatically detect it. And, they're actually talking about harsher things such as taking tokens from people, taking all of anything they've earned gear wise or, perks and stuff like that away from them. So, it'd be nice to see a little bit harsher stuff come through. I know PvP folks get upset about that kind of thing, and I would be too. I mean, it's one thing to spend your time playing a game, and when people are cheating and winning against you, that sucks. So,
no, I agree, and it's good to see the devs are taking a serious stance towards it, because I think for a long time in this game they felt like things weren't taken too seriously, and now I think it's pretty obvious they're going to.
Yeah, and sometimes like things happen behind the scenes and they just haven't come back and said, hey, this is what we did with this person. It might have been happening, but they're just not reporting back to us, right? So I think this is part of the transparency thing too. Here's the other thing before we get to the big chunky news of this week. So discuss rank PvP ideas. They have a thread for ideas about rank PvP. So if you're interested in that, definitely do jump in there. So the big announcements, obviously, that's coming up is Guild Heraldry. And the next game update is called Heralds of Victory. And this is going to be 5.1. Okay, so I'm going to try again. 5.10.2. I wish the 10 wasn't there. It always throws me off. Anyway, So it's going to be Guild Heraldry and Heralds of Victory is what it is. And it's going to be on the PTS. I think it's already up on the PTS because this was a little earlier in the month. It's already on the PTS and there's some stuff happening. Oh no, this is not on the PTS yet. No, sorry. I misspoke. And it'll be on the PTS later this month. And it will go live in April. Main feature of this update is the addition of new guild system called Guild Heraldry, which will allow guilds to create their own personal emblems. Additionally, the preview window's gotten a complete revamp. And that is what's on the PTS right now is the new preview window, which is a long time coming in updating because, oh my God, and there's a whole post and I'm not going to go, into this. There's one more article in here that says Under the Hood with SWTOR. And it's very detailed with what they're trying to do, like the assets, names. It's called dynamic placement objects. And the game seems to be getting a big revamp in this. And what they're doing is doing this along with the preview window. So you'll be able to preview weapons and weapon, what do you call them? What are the things called?
The tunings.
Yeah, the weapon tunings and mounts and everything else will be. And it looks pretty good, actually. If you look at this post, this Under the Hood post, it's pretty sweet. They have like a little animation of the preview window and you can see everything. And, it's pretty cool, man. It's a long time coming. But I think it's better late than never, right?
Yep, absolutely. And I think even with mounts, it'll show you on your mount now instead of standing next to it. And it'll show the
and
the
they
flourish.
did show mounts before. Yeah, and not being able to see the flourishes was kind of annoying because I didn't know really what I was looking for when I would get a mount. And I was like, what is happening? It'd be nice to preview that stuff. So it's going to be pretty cool, man.
New things. We're getting new things.
Yeah. People are like, the game is dead. No, they're still working on stuff. Don't worry.
It's not dead.
So as far as the heraldry stuff goes, at the start, they're not going to restrict guild level. So they're going to they'll be able to, from the get-go, guilds of any size can do all the things. I imagine down the road, they will, give higher level guilds access to different emblems and stuff like that. I imagine. And if this kind of stuff didn't pop up on the cartel market, that would be insane too. So there'll be more coming. We'll report back on this in a couple of weeks because obviously they're gonna once it hits the PTS, we'll have a lot more questions, a lot more reveals. So
exciting times.
Yeah, and Neff is right. They did explain the technical difficulties with the preview window, and yeah, it was a lot. And they're finally going back and change it up. The article is really interesting if you're interested in the actual technical issues that go along with that. Some of the things people have complained about for a really long time. They're coming around to fix because now they can, and it makes more sense to do it now, I suppose. So, I think that's important. Any other thoughts on guild heraldry and stuff like that?
Nope. But just want to see more of it in action, once everything's rolled out, and we'll go from there.
Same. All right, man. So maybe between now and the next time we record, we should try to get together and actually do some SWTOR, man. I've been missing it, and Neff and Arja are right. I mean, I miss our What's an Ops group nights a lot. I've been super busy lately and haven't really thought about it, but sometimes on Friday night, I'm sitting there, I was like, oh, that's right. Friday nights, I used to be hustling back to my computer by 8:00 to make sure I was ready to go for walks. So yeah, man,
with multiple frosty beverages in hand, ready to go.
Oh yeah. At least 2. I'm like, okay, I'm ready for this, and then get my stream going. And I miss streaming my gaming too. I mean, I haven't done that since the last big event we did with the guild before it disbanded, or disbanded's not the right word, but before it went on. What's the right word?
Not really hiatus.
Like a holding pattern.
Yeah,
kind of.
yeah. I bet you by the time 6.0 drops that somebody will pick it back up and make it active again because we'll have more people active in it.
I hope so. I really do. With an expansion brings players, at least we'll come back and talk about stuff or come back and play for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So went on sleep mode. I like that.
Sleep mode.
Sleep mode's good now.
Timed out.
Definitely sleep mode. All right, buddy. Let's get to, so this is going to be a weird kind of format because we have a ton of stuff in the last section of our show, but almost nothing in Star Wars. So what we've done, and since Will and I have kind of put this, walk in the park section in the usual roundup, and sometimes we touch on Disney parks, but a lot of times it has to do with other things as well. But, I thought there was so much Star Wars awesomeness in that. I just decided we would just jump right past Star Wars, get into the usual roundup, and then we'll be talking Disney here in a couple minutes, and Star Wars, I should say. So what do you think? Ready?
Let's do it.
I can't imagine any kind of future where I'm a hero.
Well, you're not.
In the future, none of you are heroes. You're legends.
So Luke Perry died. That was a bummer. I don't know. And I don't remember if Will and I, if we talked about it. I don't think we recorded since he passed. I think the last time we recorded, he had a stroke. And he was 52 years old. I know this is old news to everybody, but I just want to just talk about him for a minute because I loved Luke Perry, dude. He was part of my youth.
Gotcha. I was not a 90210 person, so even though I'm probably closer to his age than I am yours, but it's kind of scary. But anyways,
you said it, not me.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, it's obviously it's sad anytime, but someone passes. But the stuff that I have seen of his was pretty good.
And to be fair, I wasn't a huge 90210 fan. I was actually forced to watch it early college because it was on, I think it was in syndication, and people were just, and then my housemates were watching all the time, and it drove me crazy. But he's a good actor, and I really fell in love with him again, basically in Riverdale. I don't know if you ever watched Riverdale, but his character was phenomenal in Riverdale. So did you ever watch
I would
Riverdale?
add on to it, but no, I have not watched Riverdale.
Okay, no worries. I just wanted to give him a little bit of, I was sad to hear this, mostly because, I mean, I'm going to turn 40 in a couple of weeks, and I'm like, okay, 52 is not a big stretch from 40. And I'm like, what happened, Luke? And I'm, and who knows why these things happen, but I just, I feel bad for his family because he was not an old person, and they were just trying to put together a 90210 reunion as well. Like literally, he had a stroke the next day after they announced it. So it was sad.
Well, hopefully his family can find some peace too. That's too bad.
No, that's exactly it. What do you got here?
Okay, so I added this in just because it's something I did about 3-4 weeks ago. Had a work conference, a convention in Las Vegas.
Uh-huh.
And while I was out there, my friend Chip, who actually introduced me to your podcast way back in the day,
oh wow,
he and I were there together. So we walked down to the Venetian on the Strip, and they have this thing. It's called Secrets of the Empire, and what it is a virtual reality Star Wars setup.
Yeah. And
it was really cool. So basically what I would say is if you get to Vegas, go to the Venetian and try this thing out. It was like $30 a person, but you put on full gear, backpack, the helmet, everything.
Wait, this is the Stormtrooper one, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Dude, you actually got to do that?
Yes. And it was incredible.
Oh my God.
So you have a blaster, you're walking through, you can actually like smell, you can smell the embers and lava in the place that you're at. So yes, when blaster fire hits you, you can feel the heat on your chest protector.
Okay. So you're selling me on this, man, because they have one in downtown Disney, and I'm going there in a couple of weeks.
Dude, you have to do it. It is so awesome.
The company's called Void, right? It's the same company, right?
Yeah, Void. Yep. Okay. The Void.
Oh,
yep.
Dude. I gotta write this down. You reminded me because you have to make reservations for stuff like that down there, and the problem is I wanted to do it with my I know my wife won't be into doing it, and my oldest, who's 10, I just don't think she'll want to, so I'll probably have to do it myself. But I am. Or maybe, Will might be in the area. Maybe.
There you go. Well, I tell you what, it's kind of different too, because, I expected VR, like, maybe a little bit of moving around, but you're actually stepping, and it's cool because.
But you actually have to walk, right?
Yeah. I mean, you lift your hand up and you can see your Stormtrooper glove, and, you can see your blaster.
When did you do this?
This is about 4 weeks ago now?
Awesome. Yeah, I really want to do that, and I just need to. Yeah, I'm jealous. So you're selling me on it, dude. I've heard it's amazing, but and here was the best part of it is Chip's a little bit taller than me.
you and I are both maybe not on the taller side. Let's just leave it at that, right?
I am not a tall man, sir.
So right before we get going, I start dying laughing. I'm practically crying in my helmet because he looks at me and goes, "Hey, aren't you a little short to be a stormtrooper?"
Oh, that's amazing, dude. That's amazing. Oh, I love it. And that's the thing. I think I would love to do this with my kids and for the first time, but I kind of want to do it before Star Wars Land opens, because I feel like people are I think it's gonna be really hard to get a reservation downtown Disney when all that's going on, because the crowds are gonna be nuts. So I think I am gonna do it. You reminded me. After this, I gotta get me a reservation. I'll do that on my birthday. My birthday is on April 8th. We're doing a Disneyland trip, and I'm just super stoked to spend that time with my family and turn 40 without a bunch of hubbub and just be in the place I love. So what a great thing to do while I'm down there, right?
Absolutely. Enjoy it. So I won't tell you anything else about it because I don't want to spoil it for you, but we'll have to compare notes after you get back.
Indeed. We'll do that. Sounds good, dude. Thanks for reminding me. Oh, I'm stoked. I'm so jealous you got to do that. That's sick. I heard there was one in Vegas. There's one somewhere else, I think, too, but I don't know where the other location is.
I think there's one in Orlando as well, if I'm not mistaken. Makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, probably at Disney Springs is my guess. Yeah. Down there somewhere. Yeah. Cool, man. I consider doing that, too. I consider going to Disney World, and I was like, let's just stay close home what I know. And
yeah, that's a lot of travel for having two little ones.
It's a lot. So I only put this because we didn't do a trailer time. And I don't know if you've seen any of these trailers. I'm just going to throw them out there. If you want to talk about it, any of them, cool. If not, we'll move on. But these are some of the trailers that came out in the last couple of weeks since we recorded. There was a new Shazam trailer.
Yep.
Which was really cool.
Mm-hmm. So here's my only fear. And this is what the DCEU has done to me, is their previews for their films are always incredible. Mm-hmm. But sometimes that's all that was incredible about the movie. So it worries me.
Because they showed you all the good parts.
Exactly. Because it worries me because, the preview looks fantastic, but hopefully the movie will follow up with it.
And I love, what's his name? Zachary Levi, right? I love him. I think he's amazing. And I think this is going to help. And we'll talk about Captain Marvel here in a few minutes, but I think this is going to help DC a bit because I think they're really trying to kind of backpedal from the dark, brooding stuff they've been doing. And, not Captain Marvel. What was the last one that just came out? Aquaman. Aquaman was like kind of like the Thor Ragnarok almost of like, I mean, there were some heavier moments, but I mean, it was fun and it was brighter and, sure, there was some craziness and darkness, but it wasn't, Justice League or
Batman
not Justice League. Oh, what's the other one? Batman v Superman. Yeah. So I don't know. I think this will help them going forward. I hope it's good. Either way, it looks like fun.
So I do have to interrupt you for a second, just out of curiosity. So
please.
I need you to introduce this other beer you got.
Oh yes. This other beer I have is, it's called how do you say it? Hopocalypse. It's a double IPA from Drake's. And Drake's Brewing Company is one of my favorites. And the cool thing about this brewery, dude, there's a couple locations, but they're kind of geeky sort of too. So the t-shirts, I have a t-shirt from Drake's Brewing Company and it looks like I bought it there. It looks like, the Duck Hunt.
Okay.
Cover for the Nintendo. Mm-hmm. And on the back, it says Drake's Brewing Company. It's pretty cool. Anyway, it's a good beer, though. I love their beers. I go there whenever I go to Oakland to see my brother-in-law. There's a brewery, restaurant, beer garden down there, and it's amazing. So good. Good pizza.
Sounds good. The beer does. Yeah. Pizza, I couldn't tell you, but the beer sounds great.
Well, the pizza's good. The beer's great. All right, dude. So there was also an Aladdin trailer. Did you see that one?
I don't know how I feel about it yet.
I don't either. I feel better about this one than I did. I actually never got through Beauty and the Beast. It was a shot for shot remake of the cartoon. I love the cartoon, so I just kind of let that go. I still, for some reason, haven't seen the Jungle Book, the Favreau version. unfortunately. But this one, I love Aladdin. It makes me want to rewatch the cartoon with my kids and see how it holds up. I like Will Smith. I think it's going to be interesting. I don't know. I'm not sure I'm all the way on board with Disney remaking everything. Mary Poppins was, fine. I don't know. Remaking the cartoons, I think they don't have to do, but of course they're going to do it because people will go.
Right. And here's the thing. I actually, of course my girls really liked Beauty and the Beast and I didn't, I thought it was a pretty good remake for being live action. I still prefer the animated version. But like you, I really like the animated version of Aladdin. So, we'll see how it goes. The one that actually, I think will actually turn out well is Lion King. It looks kind of neat, but
that one looks amazing. Yeah. And Dumbo actually looks pretty damn good too. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, they're going to keep doing this. So I'm kind of picking and choosing which ones I see, but, and then there was a new Game of Thrones trailer, which I don't know where you're at with Game of Thrones, but that is going to be amazing. I can't wait. Endgame, of course, Avengers Endgame, that new trailer came out. There's something about, I'm only going to say this one thing. There was a shot towards the end, where they come out in the new suits and the music is swelling. And like, I keep watching the damn trailer because there's that moment. There's something about the Avengers when that music is playing and they are coming out to do their business. It just makes me excited, dude. There's something about that group and that score. Who knows? I don't know what it does to me, but no, I'm really stoked for it. I mean, I've seen that trailer a few times now, and then it was, obviously it played before Captain Marvel. But yeah, I'm super, super ready for it. And I'm glad they bumped it up to where it's in April now. I don't have to wait until, Memorial Day weekend or anything like that. Oh yeah. We got a few weeks and we're there. I'm stoked. And then we got Toy Story 4, which I don't know, man. This is kind of freaking me out a little bit. It's starting to make me, I don't know. I listen to some comedy podcasts that kind of mess with us a little bit, and I don't want to get too graphic or inappropriate, but like if a kid can just like put googly eyes on a thing and bring it to life, like that's kind of scary. Like granted, this is just a spork, but what if it was something else? Like I don't know. It's kind of weird to me, but I don't know. The story looks fine. We'll see. I really liked Toy Story 3. That was an amazing film. So we'll see what they do.
I liked all three Toy Stories, to be honest with you. Yeah. And it's so funny because see, my oldest kid is 23, and I can remember taking him when he was a little kid to go see.
Right. No, they've been around
the first Toy Story, and then each kid's kind of had their own. As time's gone along. Right. So it's kind of cool.
And Arjar brings up in the chat Dark Phoenix. I didn't put on this list, but Dark Phoenix, that trailer, I think I don't know how to feel about the trailer. I love the Dark Phoenix storyline. And it looks like they're really making her as powerful as she came across in that storyline. I think it's going to be interesting.
No, I'm hoping they do it well, because that's literally one of my favorite X-Men storylines. So it's great. It looks pretty cool, and like you said, the power's there. You can see her absorbing a world,
Oh yeah, and I like how like if she's killing people that are close to her, they're doing it right, and I think it's gonna be interesting. I'm actually looking forward to that. I've liked this iteration of the X-Men. I'm an easy sell kind of when it comes to the X-Men, but I'm curious to see where they go after this now that Disney is doing what they're doing, so we'll see what happens. And Stranger Things 3. Did you watch the other shows?
Yes, yeah. I loved both seasons of them.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Did you see this trailer yet, though?
I did. I actually just saw it yesterday.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh my god! The music choice and I don't know. That trailer was brilliant. I am so excited for that to happen. Sadly, we have to wait till July 4th, but whatever.
It's not too long. But
true.
I guess the thing that I like I like a lot of things about Stranger Things, but that's literally their timeline like matches up with my age. So like when they're playing Dungeons and Dragons and in their basements, like the music, the age, their aging is about the same as where I was at that same point in time. But it's just pretty cool to watch it happen.
And I agree, man. And I'm a little younger than you, but I loved the 80s. I still, when I work my night job and I'm in charge of the music, I put 80s music on. Like, I loved the 80s so much, and like, you know, the clothes and the music and the movies and just the geek. It was not cool to be a geek, but man, if you were a geek then, you have this nostalgia looking back, you know what I mean? And it's going to be fun. I think, and they're doing it right. And those kids they got are brilliant. They really are.
Yeah, and you could definitely tell they've aged a little bit since the last filming.
Yeah. And I think in the trailer they make a comment about it, right? We're not kids anymore or something like that. They said. And I think I've heard rumor, and I think this might be true. They're actually filming 3rd and 4th season at the same time to capture some of the youth, maybe, I think, but I'm not 100% sure if that's true. I was talking about it with some students today, but I'll look into that and find out. But I love that series, and my wife and I, when I know when season 2 dropped, we got through that pretty damn quick.
Yeah, so. That went real fast.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Let's talk about what I'm absolutely stoked to talk about right now, and that is park news, and more specifically Disneyland. Okay, Marvel Land is kicking up, and bits and pieces of that are coming in, and I'm just bringing this up today because I was kind of excited because Marvel Land is going to have a bunch of food options, and one of them is nachos, and they are vegan.
Well, there you go.
God forbid something in the parks be vegetarian or vegan without pulling teeth over it, you know? And I'm not a vegan. I'm barely a vegetarian. I'm a pescatarian. I do eat fish, but so I have some flexibility, but it's hard to go into some of these parks. Like when we go next month, it's the food and wine deal. And I love that they do that. And I love the wine, but the food is hit or miss because there's not vegetarian options. They have like little kiosks where you walk up and you can get like little bites of food for fairly cheap and try all these foods from like all these regions and that kind of thing. But I don't know. I think it's kind of nice that they have some vegan options. So anyway, I think that was cool.
No, I agree. It's rather inclusive that way. And, and I hate saying this, I've just never really thought of it. It's like, we need to have more vegan options. I think of it, with our restaurants, but I never think of it with, at Disneyland. I mean, of course, that would be kind of frustrating if you couldn't find some options.
Exactly. And we have our restaurants we go to and stuff. And like I said, we do eat fish, so it's a little easier. We get the clam chowder and stuff like that down there, but it'd be nice to have some other options. And honestly, Disney actually does a pretty good job, and I'm not giving them enough credit. They have options that are not on the menu that they always have that they can give guests. So it's not the end all be all, but it's nice to see something prominent in a new land coming out vegan out the gate. So I think that's cool. Galaxy's Edge, big news, dude. And I know we're a couple weeks behind, sort of. We're not breaking this news. Obviously we weren't allowed to go there, but a bunch of press were able to go down there. But we also got the opening date, which is May 31st at Disneyland Resort and August 29th at Disney's Hollywood Studios, which is earlier than everybody thought.
Yeah, because I wasn't thinking for Disney World or for Disney Hollywood Studios. I wasn't thinking until October or November.
Well, because they said, late fall or whatever, or they said fall, and then they said summer. And May is right at the beginning of the summer, but here's the caveat. They're having the Star Wars Rise of the Resistance ride, which you got to read this article. Excuse me. I also have a podcast I'm suggesting this week. I have a link in there where they're the Disney Dish podcast. I'm ahead of myself here, but it is episode 208. They bring on a guy who was at this press event for Disneyland, and they got to walk around. They got to go through some of the ride queues and stuff like that. What's crazy is the way they're doing this Rise of the Resistance ride. It's a crazy ambitious project. Okay. And it's not going to be open when either park is ready to go. I don't think, definitely not at Disneyland. Which means that's one of the two major attractions that are opening is not going to be open. Which means the lines for Smuggler's Run, I could not even imagine what that's going to be like.
From what I've read so far is there's not going to be, even if you're staying at a resort, one of the Disney resorts, there's not going to be guaranteed admission to that part of the park because they know what the demand is going to be.
So what they're doing is they're requiring reservations between May 31st and June 23rd. Basically, almost a month of you have to have reservations. They haven't said how they're going to do that yet. And they're saying right now that if you stay at Disney Resort Hotel, you will be able to get a reservation, but who knows what that looks like. And the lines are still going to be a day long. I mean, literally.
Oh, easily. Absolutely.
Which to be fair, people were like, are you going to go down to Disneyland when it opens? I said, hell no. I'm actually going the month before. I'm going the month before. The crowds will be low. And I'm going to go enjoy Disneyland for everything that I love about it. And I'm going to look at the construction from afar. And then I think we're going to plan on going maybe around December, January, the next year, I think, with my family. Because everybody wants to go, but we don't want to. I don't need to be there on opening day. I'm a Disneyland guy. I go every year. I am past the point. I don't really need to be there opening day. I will go and experience it. But I want it to be ready to go, and I want to experience everything when I'm there. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You don't want to wait in line all day long for one thing and not get to actually immerse yourself in the whole experience. I'm good
at waiting in line. I'm good at waiting in line, man. But there's so many things to do down there. I'm just going to wait till it dies down a little bit. So, any other thoughts on them moving the dates up, the rides not being open? Like that?
Look, I'm excited for the whole thing. Regardless. So, and my buddy Chip and I actually have plans because next year's International Franchising Association conference is in Orlando in February. Right. So we'll be down there anyway. So we're thinking about hanging out for an extra day and making our way over to the park. So.
That sounds awesome. Yeah. There is talk at the end of San Diego Comic-Con going up for the day. But again, if we have to have reservations and stuff and it's going to be crazy, like I'm not even going to bother. Honestly, I'm really not.
But seriously, I mean, and not to geek out too much, but I mean, how cool is it? I mean, as a kid, you would have never thought, okay, somebody opened a Star Wars land, especially at Disney World. Yeah, I mean, I've been at Disney World during the Star Wars days that they had in June back in the days, and that was pretty cool. But I mean, to have its own devoted land, I mean, that's pretty neat in my opinion.
It's going to be awesome, man. And the one thing that, of course, Disney World has over Disneyland is they're going to have the hotel as well, which I can't imagine being ever able to get a reservation at that hotel. Because the room count is super small from what I've read. To the point to where it's probably going to be, I don't know, nearly impossible to get a reservation.
Right. And
the price point will put people out anyway, I'm sure. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, and they'll get a premium on it for those first couple of years anyways.
Oh, so. Yeah. And to be able to immerse yourself fully in both Star Wars in your hotel room and in the park, you could literally just have a Star Wars experience if going to Disney World and see nothing but. That's immersion, and that's what they're going for, and I think that's amazing. So
yeah, but the only problem with that is if it's too immersive, like for me, I may just hide out there forever and never come home. So,
you're like, wait, I live in Star Wars now.
Yeah, but
go away.
We're done.
All right, man. So a ton of other news came out of this press event, and Nerdist put together a really nice article about what you can eat and drink in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And again, at the cantina in Oga's Cantina is what it's going to be called. It'll be the first time alcohol is served in Disneyland, which is going to be pretty awesome. Which I think is very important that they're going forward with that. But this is a very colorful, very cool looking deal. They have non-alcoholic beverages like Hyperdrive Punch It, Jabba Juice, like all these kind of things. And looks like they're, bubbling and frothing, everything you would expect out of a sci-fi cantina out of Star Wars. I don't know.
Right. Now, I thought I had read something, and I don't think it was on the Nerdist article, green milk or blue milk, depending on what you wanted, which neither one actually sounds appetizing to me, but
no, they both sound terrible. But, and that for me, that's the same thing because we went to Harry Potter Land or whatever you want to call it, Hogwarts in Universal, last February. And, my kids, of course, they had to try butterbeer or whatever. And there was no scenario where I was drinking butterbeer. Like I saw the person with a big bag like this, dump it into a thing that looked kind of like a coffee pot deal. And somehow it comes out either slushy or on the rocks. And I'm like, that just looks like a sugar bag, and I don't want anything to do with that. And my kids weren't all that stoked with it, but again, it's of course they're gonna have blue milk of some sort, right? Of course they're gonna have something from the franchise, right?
Anyway. So your Harry Potter lane, did you ask them for the beer advocate on the butter beer and find out what the IBU was?
Well, here's what I did. First of all, it's non-alcoholic, so I wasn't gonna have that anyway.
No,
no, I know. And I was like, well, oh wait, there's no booze in it and no booze option. I'm gonna go over to this other bar. So, pro tip: if you ever go to Universal Studios and you go to Hogwarts, at the what's it called now? Whatever the pub is there, Hagen, whatever the pub is there. When you go in there, that's literally the best beer in the park. They've got Harry Potter themed beers, and it's like they have not an IPA. They've got a red, a stout, and I think a Pilsner style. But like that's the only good beer you get in the park. Everywhere else you go, it's like Miller Lite.
Bud Light. So, Miller Lite. Yeah.
It's terrible. It's terrible. So anyway, that's a side note. So anyway, this article is really cool. I'm really looking forward to checking this stuff out again in the future. What else do we have here? Definitely check out that Disney Dish episode though, because it's nice to hear from somebody who was there that he talks about standing in the queues. Excuse me, what they're trying to accomplish in those queues and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
So I would have a question. So I know at least at Disney World, a couple of years ago, they banned like.
Sorry, I was looking at chat.
Yeah, I looked at chat. Sorry, they banned selfie sticks, but
yeah,
in Disney, at the Star Wars land, I mean, isn't everybody going to be swinging lightsabers around, smacking each other in the head?
Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned lightsabers, man. What a segue. Okay, so here's the best part, I think. So. Talking about Harry Potter again really quick and then coming back to Disney. So the one cool thing that my kids spent, I think I lost interest soon after. I'm not the biggest Harry Potter guy. Of course, my wife and both my kids are really into Harry Potter and they had to buy wands. Super important. So we go into this wand shop and there was two options. There was the show with a small group and then you get to pick your wand. And then there was the wand shop where it's like replicas of Hermione's wand and everything else on the walls. And you can just pick what you want, right? Now, that was really cool. I walked away and listened to a podcast for a while and got a couple beers and came back. They were there for literally an hour and a half minimum, right? And they had a great time. So Disneyland, they are doing something very similar with lightsabers. Okay. So the article I have in here, and they even put it in here that says it will be basically an interactive building experience, very similar to Ollivander's wand shop at Universal Studios. So you get like a 20-minute, intimate building experience, after a little show. And it says hidden somewhere on the outpost is Savi's workshop, where guests will be able to pay a premium for an intimate 20-minute building experience. Each session will be limited to 14 participants and their family. Could you imagine the line for that? And how much money they're going to make?
I wonder if the Kyber crystal will like sing to you.
Dude, there's Kyber crystals. There's metal parts. Like this is going to be a legitimately amazing experience. They obviously will start at $109 with an optional detachable blade, which is an additional $49. But I imagine it would be so incredible if you just said, okay, I'm going to take my two kids and I have $350 and let's just do this experience. Like what they will walk out of will be a really high quality, customized lightsaber that they can always have. I think that's just really, really cool. The price point aside, the experience alone, I think will be phenomenal.
Will's going to build one.
Will, get out of my chat. I'm just kidding. Yeah, dude, I want to build one today. Yesterday. I mean, this is insane, dude. I can't even tell you how exciting this part of it is for me. And that's why I don't want to go right at the beginning, because I want to be able to, although it was insane, even standing in Ollivander's with my kids, my wife and kids, like there were so many people trying to find lightsabers and blah, blah, blah. But doing this little experience, like, yeah, I don't know how they're going to do it, reservation system or a 15-hour queue, but to finally get there and be able to build this lightsaber that you can display and use, I think it's just going to be phenomenal. So,
that's a nice message for Will.
Should I ban him? It'd be hilarious if I banned him.
It might create problems the next time you go to record that.
He'll figure it out. Anyway, any thoughts on this, man? I think that's all of the park stuff I was really trying to cover this week. I'm just really excited about this, but at the same time, I'm not chomping at the bit having to be there the first day. So
right, I'm with you, but yeah, I couldn't be more excited for this to roll out, and it'll be interesting to see what the reviews say when they do come out. Not that it's and that either way it's going to keep me from going.
Right, and I listen to enough, Disney parks podcasts and YouTube channels and stuff. I mean, it'll all come out, and people will talk about their experiences and that kind of thing. But something like this has to be experienced for yourself, and it's what you bring to it, And like I said, I want to be able to go to it and dedicate my time just to that and get my kids in there and have a good time. So I'm excited. All right. So shall we get to streaming services, dude? Let's start with this. DC Universe. Arrow is going to end with season 8. Well, we knew this already. Probably.
Mm-hmm.
It's been on for a while.
Yeah. Arrow ended with like season 6 for me. I haven't watched the last 2 seasons, to be honest with you.
I think it ended a little before that for me. I loved Arrow. I haven't watched the last, 3 seasons. And I tried to keep up with all of those shows. And Flash was my favorite. I never got into Supergirl, sadly, although I do like the show. It just got, right now, I finally resigned to the fact that there's too much TV for me to watch. And I don't have enough time to watch the few things I do watch. So I'm picking and choosing. At some point, these types of shows will definitely hold up. I mean, the technology is there, so I can always go back and watch Arrow at some point if I want to. So
yeah, and I think that's a nice thing too. Is it's not like you have to go buy the DVDs or right. It's always with the streaming services. It's pretty much always available to you to go back to and watch. So there's I don't feel the need to watch it the night it comes out or the day after it came out.
Yeah, exactly. Whoa, Joa, hey buddy, long time no see, man. All right, dude. So Disney Plus. Speaking of streaming services and Disney, which we've clearly been talking a lot about, this I found. I was wondering if they were going to do this, and I'm super stoked that they are. Disney's going to include every Disney feature film. And this is important because Disney, the way they release their films is they'll put stuff in the vault. And so you won't be able to get Cinderella for X amount of years, or Mulan, or Beauty and the Beast, or whatever it might be. But their streaming service, it's all going to be there, dude. I think that's amazing.
Absolutely. Well, and it makes sense. I mean,
Yeah. But that in and of itself is worth $12 a month to be able to watch any Disney movie I want. I think that's pretty phenomenal.
I'm excited for this Disney streaming service.
Oh no, you get distracted by chat. That's okay. I'm distracted by chat too. Joe, it's good to see you, dude. All right, man. So let's see. The New Mutants will likely head to Disney Plus as well. And Kevin Feige is, and I thought this was kind of cool too, is promising that Disney Plus shows are directly connected to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So unlike what's been happening kind of in the past stuff, especially with DC, right? You have the amazing Flash show, and then you do a Flash movie and you get a different Flash. But they're also going to keep that continuity, which Marvel's very good at already anyway. No, Will, I didn't even want to mention that. No, I can't imagine I don't think they're going to include Song of the South. I don't think they will, but can they not? That's the question. And that's what we're talking about, honestly. And Song of the South is, if you don't know, it's Song of the South. You can look it up and you can see why we're talking about it in this way. But I don't know. I think the only, can you pick and choose? Can you say we're including everything and then not include 1 or 2 films? I think,
and really, gosh, the only even remote reference to Song of the South that I've even seen is Splash Mountain at Disney World, and that's about it. I think they actually
the film that's based on is
right. No, I totally get it. I think they burned that film, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It was accidentally lost.
Right. But Splash Mountain is phenomenal. And that ride is one of my favorites in the park. So yeah, we'll see what they do with it. Will said also that something from Nerdist, New Mutants might need massive reshoots. Yeah, I'm wondering about that too. We'll see what happens.
Well, look at that. We're 24 hours into the Disney takeover. and the world hasn't ended yet. So
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah,
there we
exactly.
are. We're alive. What else do we have here? Anything else with Disney streaming? I think we're done with that. Excuse me. Netflix.
Yep.
We did talk about Stranger Things season 3 trailer earlier in the show. Super stoked about that. I don't know
about the Gremlins.
First of all, I don't know about. I don't mind an animated series for Gremlins. I don't mind Gremlins at all. I'm wondering about a Warner streaming service. I mean, is this? I know everybody's going to want to do a streaming service, but at some point, people are going to have to start picking and choosing which ones they subscribe to. You know what I mean?
Right.
So is Gremlins enough to bring people over to Warner? I don't know. It depends on what else they're offering.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Warner Brothers would have, they've got the Looney Tunes and some of those things.
Oh yeah. They've got an amazing animated catalog for sure. And Foghorn Leghorn's one of my ultimate favorite cartoon characters. I just love that guy. But I mean, I don't know if that's enough to warrant another fee to try to charge people. I don't know. We'll see.
Only so much.
See what else they bring.
Entertainment time and entertainment dollars to go around.
Exactly. None of us have time, and some of us have money, but some of us don't. And then what are you going to watch when you have time and very little money?
Come on, kid. Who are we kidding? We both have kids. Yeah. We don't have any money.
There's no money and no time.
Exactly.
All right, man. Let's get to real reviews. I know people. Oh wait, the chat is popping up here at some point. Yeah, I think the chicken hog. Right. I'm with you, dude. Arjar. I mean, I just his responses. I don't know. I swear I get half my sarcasm from Foghorn Leghorn. I used to have a VHS where I had a lot of his cartoons recorded and I would just watch them. I don't know. He was just such a jerk and I just loved it. But anyway, but it does get overwhelming. Neff has a good point. And I think, again, at some point I'm going to have to say, okay, so right now my wife and I, we pay for PlayStation View, which is sort of cable, and then I've got Netflix and Hulu, and so what else am I going to pay for? So how much more? So I'm definitely going to do the Disney streaming service. I don't miss on the TV shows, right? I don't do HBO. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to watch a new Game of Thrones season, right? And that kind of thing. So I mean, what do we pay for? You know what I mean? And it is overwhelming. It's overwhelming with the amount of TV we have right now, just on Netflix alone, let alone Hulu. And we pay for Amazon, and I forgot about Amazon and all these other things. So at some point, are the new folks going to have enough content to pull people over? I still haven't gone over to, CBS, to check out the Star Trek stuff, for example. Right. So I don't know, man. Any other thoughts on this?
Not really. I'm kind of the same way. I've got the Netflix, got the Amazon. Plus we have Uverse, which is kind of our cable. Yeah, and I've been contemplating getting rid of that for a while if it wasn't for some of the sports stuff that I like that I can't get in other places. So
that's the thing, exactly. The sports is the kicker sometimes too.
But eventually, I think what somebody needs to do is they need to have the cable company, but everything be a la carte, where you could just choose I just want to subscribe to these 3 channels that I can't get somewhere else, and I'll pay $10 a month for that, and then carry the other streaming services. But
and I've been meaning to look into this. There is a service like that, and I can't remember the name of it now. And there's a couple other things that are kind of playing with that. I think Amazon's even playing with one where you can just get certain channels. So I don't know. And Will says Hulu has sports. So I mean, again, who are you loyal to? And are you going to stop one service you're used to because you have a whole list and all your stuff programmed in to go to somewhere else and then maybe have to come back kind of thing? I don't know. It's an interesting dilemma. We'll come back to this, my friend. Let's come back to this. Because I want to talk about this real quick. Did you ever watch Orphan Black?
No.
Okay. So we won't spend much time on this, but there's a new Orphan Black series in the works from AMC, which I'm really excited about because I love that series, although I didn't finish the very last half of the last season, I think, now that I think about it. See, again, you get overwhelmed with these things and you forget, oh, that's right, I was watching Orphan Black. Damn it. And HBO is finally, and this is maybe a little bit old news, but we were talking about Game of Thrones earlier, and they released how long their episodes will be. And my thing is not opening, but I think each one is going to be 90 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or is it 60? Yeah, 60 minutes. Yeah, that's what I thought. It was either 60 or 90. So the episode lengths are going to be 60 minutes, and it's going to be 6 episodes, so we get 6 hours of Game of Thrones to wrap up this whole thing. I don't know, man. That doesn't seem like enough time to me. I want more. And actually, I was listening to Mark Bernardin today talking about Game of Thrones briefly in this Q&A thing he did, and he was talking about the fact that HBO's leaving money on the table, and I never thought about this. He said, I would pay $15 to go watch one of these episodes every week at the movie theater.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, that's a freaking good point. It was like, I would go and watch this thing. And you know what I mean? Like, I mean, and the way that the scope of that show and the writing of that show and the special effects and stuff, I mean, that's big screen worthy for sure. And they really could do something.
Well, I gotta admit, I haven't watched Game of Thrones, and that's actually one of my to watch over the summer. But really, when you started saying 60 minutes and 90 minutes, I started thinking about Dogfish Head IPAs.
Right? The 90-minute IPA is still my favorite IPA. So Will corrected it. So 60 minutes for the first 2 episodes, and then 90 minutes for the last 4 is what it is. So, but still, that's, I'm not doing any math on that. That's, over 6 hours of content for a show that people don't want to see go, so it'll be interesting.
Now, aren't they making some prequels or something for those?
Yeah, they're doing
or a spinoff.
They're doing another show that has to do with the Rise of the Targaryens, I think. And it's a prequel series. I don't know when that's happening. I forget, but if Will was on the show, he would remember, because he remembers. And when he types in the chat, I'm going to ignore him. So here we are. Where are we at? We're at DC. Where are we at? Yeah, DC Universal
Suicide Squad. Yep.
Yeah, so Suicide Squad. This kind of caught me off guard a little bit. James Gunn, his version is going to be a total reboot.
It needs to be a reboot. Because the first one was a disaster.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. And yes, I'm ignoring Will about his casting news for the prequel. So New Orphan. I'm joking, dude, but I am ignoring that comment, by the way. What was I saying? Oh, so it needs to be a reboot, and they also got Idris Elba's. How to say his name just flew out of my head. Idris Elba, right? To replace
Will Smith.
He's the new Deadshot instead of Will Smith, right? And I think that's a good casting choice, dude. I'm super stoked on that. And it's gonna be a reboot, although they are gonna bring in. They're gonna keep, I think, Jared Leto and Margot Robbie as well. So we'll see. I'm actually kind of stoked to see what Gunn does. Speaking of James Gunn. The big news in the last week, and we're going to end on this here in just a few minutes, is, of course, he got rehired to do Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
He's back. Which was the right thing to do, in my opinion.
It was. I think it was a little bit of a knee-jerk thing, and we've talked about this several times, but and they really weren't actively looking for another director. I just think they were trying to figure out what to do. And bringing him back is the right call. He's now going to do that movie and Suicide Squad, and he's going to have all the money and all the things, which I'm excited about.
Right. And it to me, granted, the character's been written into the Avengers, the Infinity War and Endgame storyline, and the Guardians of the Galaxy having it, and it's worked there. But for a full length film, he's done so well with the first 2. Just don't mess with it.
What kind of. Yeah, and you're right. And what happened too, which was kind of a bummer, is when they put off shooting of that, the show scenes for Mission Breakout at the parks was supposed to be shot. The updated ones were supposed to be shot when they were doing the film, right? So they were trying to figure out how to deal with that and everything else. So I think this is fine. You bring him back, you do it right, and let's get Guardians 3 good. And that's what I'm excited about. So all right, man. So before we get out of here, I think we should talk about a movie we saw. What do you think?
Yes, I agree.
And I don't want to spend all day on it, but we both saw Captain Marvel. Chat, if you saw Captain Marvel, feel free to chime in. But we're just going to talk about it for a few minutes. So the only news around it I have is Kevin Feige says Captain Marvel will lead the Marvel Cinematic Universe. She's definitely going to be an Endgame, especially, by the way, there's going to be a little bit of spoilers here. So if you haven't seen the film, you might want to tune out for a minute or two. But yeah, I'm really, I enjoyed the film.
I love the film. It was, how do I want to put this? It tied some pieces together. And then it also presented some new questions that I think will get answered with Avengers Endgame. So it was, and it was original. I mean, it wasn't like super predictable. I mean, what did you think?
Yeah, it was a nice, I just realized I should have my camera over there, so I wasn't. It doesn't matter. I really liked. I liked it that I like the bridge between, tying things together before we get to Endgame for sure. Endgame is going to be epic, and that's going to be kind of the send off for some of these characters. But having Captain Marvel come in, I like the story. I felt it was a little slow in the beginning. But once she kind of started to kind of figure herself out and focus on herself, I think that was, especially when her friend came in, the other pilot, and tried to tell her who she was and stuff like that. I think Brie Larson did an amazing job. I think Sam Jackson was amazing. The de-aging tech was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
With him, it was flawless. I mean, I've heard people not super stoked about Coulson's, but yeah, I don't know if they really need to de-age him too much. I think they were trying to be subtle about it.
He wasn't a main character that was always on the screen, so yeah.
No, exactly. It didn't matter. And honestly, I just had I had a really good time with it. This is the second movie that I've taken my kids to without screening first. We've watched all of the Marvel stuff for the most part, except for some early, Iron Man and Thor and stuff. But they've seen all of it. They've seen the last Avengers one, and I took them and they loved it. And to have a female protagonist on the screen, dealing with women's issues and everything else. And then just the action alone. And of course the twist, sorry, spoilers again, the twist, having the Skrulls not be what we thought they were. And then, and when they said the Kree, I was like, maybe it was just Ronan. Nope, it's not. and
Nope.
Seeing Ronan was kind of cool. And I'm thinking to myself, I was like, oh, maybe Ronan was just an ass and the Kree are cool. And nope, turns out not so much.
No, and it is funny because in the comics, the Skrulls haven't always been treated, the way that they're treated in the movie. So it was a big surprise to me. I was really shocked actually when the reveals kind of came as to what was really going on. But I like the way it was handled, and I like some of the like you said, the having the strong female lead, and then just some of the small interactions that kind of happened between like the Skrull child and the daughter. And I can't think of her name. Saying, "Oh, I like your eyes. Don't change them," since the Skrulls can change, appearances and stuff. And it was like, just that kind of be who you are.
And the messages came through is what we're really trying to say, right? I mean, the messages came through, and I think that last scene got me. I just thought it was funny when she just shot him. What's homeboy's name?
I don't know. This is where you need Will. He's much better with
Chris
this than
Pine?
I am.
Is it? No, not Chris Pine. Who played the Will, wake up. Anyway, the main thing I wanted to put out there about this movie that I really liked too was just the subtle nods to things. And I really enjoyed was it towards the end where I'm trying to remember the scene now. Oh, not towards the end. There was a moment where, and I was talking about this with my buddy Nick, who I do a writing podcast with. We've been talking about dialogue a lot and talking about
Jude Law.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. World building through dialogue. And this was one of the things that I thought was really interesting is like that conversation that was in the trailer between Fury and Captain Marvel, right? they're having this conversation, and he's trying to figure out who she is, and she says, "Oh no, we're noble warrior heroes." And it's like that's what they are. That's what the Kree are to her in her head, right?
Mm-hmm.
From what she's experienced, right? And he's getting that. He's like, okay, yeah, that must be what you are, right? And that's why that twist towards the end really kind of hits home, because she's realized that, holy crap, not only are we not that, we're the stark opposite of all of that. You know what I mean? And she has to buck that system and become what she's supposed to be. And it took her a while because she had to let go of all that other stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No,
So,
she had to get it out of her head. No, I thought it was awesome. You know, just in the fact that, I don't know, it kept me guessing a little bit. And sometimes Marvel movies don't do that. So,
right.
You know, I thoroughly enjoyed this film, and you know, like my 12-year-old daughter, you know, wanted to go see it with me, so, and I was really glad that I took her.
Aww.
So, you know,
nice. Yeah, my kids are young too. They're 10 and almost 8, and they, you know, there wasn't any moments where they were like hiding or anything. They followed it. They enjoyed it. And it was fun. And I wouldn't say this is up there with like my, you know, this isn't up there with my top Marvel movies, but it's a good Marvel movie. And I really think that it makes me really can't wait to see her show up in Endgame and see what the role is. You know, going from, that Infinity War, extra scene with the, you know, with the beeper, and then seeing that in his hands, and then seeing it towards the end of this film and everything else. It worked for me. It wasn't, again, not my top, but very, very good.
But it was the perfect in between film.
Exactly.
For right before Endgame. Now the one thing I did not like is the very last post-credit scene was not worth the wait.
Was that the Tesseract one?
Yeah, that was not worth the wait. I was like, really? I just waited an extra 5 minutes for this. But
it's like, I could have looked that one up.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh well.
No, but I think it's interesting, and seeing how Fury lost his eye was interesting too. Hilariously, because he loved that cat so much, and then it was like, oh, no, you don't have your eye.
Right.
And he's like, oh, it'll be fine. And then it just wasn't.
Right.
and then he had to, and I love that scene where he came in and he's all, you have a choice to make or something. And he put on this whole thing of like synthetic eyes in front of him. I just love that. I don't know. There were little moments in this that I just really,
when you get the answer to how he lost his eye, and you look back to the other films where he said, you know, the last time I trusted someone, I lost my eye. And then it turns out to be that.
Exactly. I tried to trust this cat, and then it wasn't a cat, but I still thought we were cool, and it took my eye. And Will's right. I mean, this goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning of the show when we talked briefly about the trailers we've seen. In-game, the new in-game trailer, obviously, at the end, you see Captain Marvel. Thor calls the hammer. She doesn't flinch, and Thor's like, oh, I like this one, you know? And it's like, that's how cool. I mean, I'd like to see them together, obviously, and maybe that's what Will's alluding to, but that would be interesting. And I don't know if Hemsworth's contract's up, but I'd like to see him stick around for a little bit and see where this goes with Marvel and the new Avengers and all that. We'll see. It'll be interesting.
Yep, I'm excited. It's going to be a good summer.
Same, dude. All right. Well, my friend, I do have a couple other things in here. I think we'll save the. Did you see Into the Spider-Verse ever?
No, I have not. Have you?
Okay. Yes. Oh, I've seen it twice.
Okay.
It's like literally my favorite movie.
I'll put up on Redbox or Amazon. I know it's on Amazon. So
yeah.
Okay.
Dude, watch that movie. Next time I see you, let's talk about it. I know it came out into last year or whatever, but it's a phenomenal film. It's one of the best movies I've seen in a while. It's so good.
I will definitely check it out.
And I have a link in here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. Somebody spent a lot of time on this though. It's a massive MCU viewing order, to where it's taking into account all the TV shows, all the movies, everything with Captain Marvel and everything involved. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot.
And it's all chronological.
Oh my God. It's insane. I'll throw a link in the chat if anybody wants to check this madness out.
You can do a countdown to Endgame from the beginning of the year and try to knock all these out.
You could. It would take you literally 1,000 hours, but I mean, it's crazy how much is here, dude. Like, especially when you take into account the TV shows and stuff. My wife saw this somewhere online and sent it to me. I was like, holy crap! At least I got to mention this. So,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool. All right, man. So before we get out of here, the last thing I want to talk about is San Diego Comic-Con. We are going to be there, and I'm sorry that you are not next year. We're just going to keep doing that.
Yeah, we'll just keep doing that.
Yeah, but Will and myself will be down there, and anybody else that wants to come down, we will let you know by the next show, hopefully, what day our Pucked 4 Cantina will be, where we do a live podcast and have all our friends down there at Mission Brewing Company. I've secured Mission Brewing Company. I just have to tell them what day. I'm trying to figure out if Friday or Saturday is better. And other than that, we've secured housing, so we're getting everybody together. We're going to do a bunch of different things this year. Nick's coming this year, who I do my other podcast, Just Keep Writing with. We're going to do a little writing thing on Thursday. We're going to have a lot of fun this year. So if you're in the San Diego area and you want to come down for Pucked 4, please do that. I'm going to reach out to Musco and get some prizes and stuff like that. And see what some of these guys bring back from Celebration. Maybe we can raffle off. So I'm really stoked about Comic-Con this year. I know it's March and we're talking about something that's happening in July, but these are the type of things you got to plan way, way, way ahead of time. So I got my press passes, got my house. Now all I got to do is figure out my flight, and I'll be down there. So if you guys want to come down there, please come and hang out with us. It'll be great. So yeah, and I did talk about that in the beginning of the show. We are doing a shirt design contest. So if you want to design a t-shirt based on the show or any of our Puck stuff, it's going to be awesome. Submit that, email it to us, and we'll put it into the drawing. And if we decide to do it and print it, you will win something. I don't know what we're winning, but Will's in charge of that. And Will's gonna be at WonderCon as well. So we're gonna have a lot of stuff coming down the pipe. So again, I've talked about Patreon and stuff at the beginning of the show. So again, guys, thanks for bearing with us. We have not been as consistent, but we're still doing it. We're having a blast, and I love that everybody's still hanging out with us. So. And thanks to you, my friend John, for being on the show today. It was a blast. So.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I've had a great time. So.
I'm glad you're here.
As a matter of fact, I didn't just have a great time. You know what I had?
Oh, tell me.
I had a fun.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you had a fun. All right. So thanks for tuning in to The Usual Podcast. If you have comments or questions, you can find us at theusualpodcast.com. Email us at theusualpodcast@gmail.com. And we are on Facebook, Google+, Spotify, Pinterest, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. I am at Darth Pops on Twitter, and John is John R. Skeen on Twitter, and Will, or my usual co-host, is at I am Will Griggs. We're on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, and Plex, so please share us and like us and support the show. You can support the show, audibletry.com/usualpodcast, and of course, the best way to support us, patreon.com/usualpodcast. John, you said you had a thing. You said something about you had some sort of experience on the show.
I did. I had a fun. That's what I had. I had a fun.
Oh, by the gods. Everybody else go out and have a fun. And we'll see you all next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks so much, man. That was awesome.
Dude, that was
fun. I know people were throwing some stuff there at the end, but I couldn't do it.
No, it's all good. That was awesome.